I am a mother of 2, grandmother of 7, with 2 bonus grandchildren. All but 3 attend Comanche schools. I've never run for any political office before, and pray a long time on this before deciding to run for city council. I'm heartbroken on how much this community has changed over the years, from a place people used to be proud of to not so proud anymore. So I have stated my 3 most important points. Number 1, Comanche belongs to each of you. You are what makes this community, and you should be heard. So I truly like to hear what you want for this city, or ever what bothering you that you feel need improving. Number 2, the water problem has been brought to my attention, and I really think this needs some major looking into, and to figure out why some parts of town are good and others are not. No one should have bad water. Everyone should have clear water drinking water. Number 3, I want to see the growth of Comanche for the good. If that is improving roads, sidewalks, etc. Maybe see some expansion of industry to help bring revenue to our community. Thank you for your time, and I hope whoever is elected works to betterment of our community. All right, as I mentioned to my left here, we have Dave Bowman, we have Brent Brightman, Robert Detterman, and Danny Weller. And so we're going to do this part of the forum the same way we've done it earlier. We're going to give each of them 2 minutes to make an introductory statement about themselves, and then we'll go ahead and proceed to the questions. And so we'll just start with Mr. Bowman. You have 2 minutes. Tell us about yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I am Dave Bowman. I've got his name tag. I'm currently serving on the council, and I'm running for re-election. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event and all of you being here tonight to hear us. I'd like to tell you why I'm on the council. I had trouble with a nuisance in my neighborhood. I went and needed help from the city. I went to the council. We were able to resolve my issue. After that first council meeting I went to, I started going to all the council meetings, and I decided to run for the council to help others the way I was helped. Thank you. Give me feedback on my country. All right. So I've been able to help out others, and that's part of it. As part of the council, I've been able to effect change, improve Comanche, and I look forward to the opportunity to continue that effort. What I find rewarding about being on the council is being able to help the residents and the city. I do find it frustrating when they can't help someone and they get calls, and sometimes they just can't do it. Sometimes there isn't an easy solution to someone's problem. In addition, I'm keenly aware of a number of residents might disagree with the vote I cast. So I do my research to ensure I'm making the best possible decision. I want to cast my vote to not do what's easy and expedient, but to do what's right for the city and its residents. Looking ahead, I do look forward to implementing the already discussed economic development zone along Washington Boulevard and improving the first impression visitors have when passing through town. It's something the residents have been asking for, and we're about to get moving on it. I'm also excited about the recent vote to create the LMI program to assist Comanche residents who need help buying or maintaining their homes. Thank you.
Mr. Brightman.
Hi, everybody. My name is Brent Brighton as well. I didn't prepare no speech. I'm just, here to tell you that it's been an exciting 4 years, and the city has accomplished a lot. 4 years ago, the city was in dire straits of some issues that were going on, and the city council currently has done a great job getting the city back in the path that it needs to be, and I just want to continue doing that as well. As Councilman Bowman had mentioned, we've got a lot of good things in front of us, and I just want to help partake in that and give the citizens what's right for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Detterman.
My name is Robbie Detterman, and I'm running for city council. I'd like to do a change to the council. I think it's time to get some younger people in there, and I have 5 kids that go to school here in Comanche. I've been a resident for a very long time. My family lives here. I just like to do my part and help the community out.
Thank you. Mr. Weller.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Danny Weller, and I'm a candidate for re-election to the City Council. I have been a resident managed for the past 30 plus years. 28 of those I spent as a volunteer on the fire department. Also during that time I've served as a member of the Park and Rec, Civil Service Commission, and also helped create Comanche Holiday House. I've enjoyed being a part of the community and have seen several positive changes in the last 4 years. I see the possibility of more, and I would like to be part of that. I believe with your help, you can make those things happen.
Okay, that concludes the introductory statements. We'll now move into the question and answer form. We're going to start with Mr. Bowman, and then we're going to move down the line here with initial questions, but we'll start with Mr. Bowman. How do you feel about the current situation of debt capacity of the city and how it leverages its debt? And with that in mind, do you support the use of TIF districts for economic development and residential housing?
As far as the city's debt capacity, right now Comanche is sitting very, very good with regards to debt capacity. They have very low debt compared to other communities in the area. You start thinking around a percentage of debt is much lower than it is in other areas. And that's good because it means we're going to be fiscally healthy. I do support the use of TIF districts, especially for, as I discussed already, the economic development zone in Washington Boulevard, trying to get some fresh businesses to find that. We also have residential TIF districts we've created to help build homes and, again, draw people into Comanche.
Thank you. Mr. Bregman.
Yeah, our debt capacity is, like Councilman said, is excellent right now. One thing I think we need to look at in the future is, with being associated with the fire department, we have big ticket items such as fire engines and ladder trucks, stuff like that. And in the past, the people have put in equipment funds, which is fine, but obviously things have gotten a lot more expensive since back in the days. So I think we need to look at possibly bonding out and taking on some of that debt in that respect instead of using equipment fund money. The other thing is, as a business owner as I am, TIF district, that's a no-brainer. We have to have it. We have to have businesses come to our downtown so that we can get sales tax going. Sales tax generates revenue, and that's what we're about.
Thank you, Mr. Deverman.
For the TIF, you want businesses to come, you want people to build, you want more tax money for the community. Excuse me. Of course, I don't know what our debt is, but I'm sure it's reasonable. I would love to see businesses come and everybody thriving.
Thank you, Mr. Weller.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Bowman and Mr. Reitman. Our debt capacity is very good. We do need to look into the TIFs, especially along Washington Boulevard. I think there's a lot of possibility there. And we make things grow and still have the quiet community we have.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Brightman. The city has spent about $1.2 million in street improvements in the last 4 years. Are you comfortable with the current condition of the roads, and what do you see as a long-term goal or planning measure to improve the roads in the city of Comanche?
So we discussed earlier about capital improvement plan. That is the pathway to moving on with projects like the street improvement plans. We have to be able to know how much money we can spend year to year, so that's when the capital improvement plan comes into effect. We have to continue to keep our streets in good shape. We do have some infrastructure issues that we're looking at right now as well, and that's just as important, but some of the infrastructure where it's good, we have to take care of the streets now. And so we got to lay the path forward with our CIP and just continue to look at the future, maybe 15, 20 years out, but that's good planning and that's good future road ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Devon.
you have to have a good roads program. And my big thing is the area of town I live in, we have a big sewer problem. And we need to look into redoing sewers also in this community, because the city has to come out about twice a week to clear the sewer over in my neighborhood, and they blow the stuff back in my basement. So I know for a fact that we need to start looking at our sewers. You know, the riverside of the city's old. So I'd love to keep the roads program going and redo sewers and everything else.
Thank you. Mr. Weller.
Yeah, I think our road program is looking pretty good. We definitely do the capital improvement plan points a lot of that stuff out. There's a lot of things that need to be done with the roads yet, but another thing that is definitely pointed out is the sewers. We got to concentrate on them also. I think our roads will get done. We're making tremendous improvement with them, and we just need to keep working on everything that we see fit.
Thank you. Mr. Bowman.
Certainly the roads, as you pointed out, have been worked on, and we've got a lot done. There is a lot left to do with the roads, and we'll continue that. We have the plan, as already been pointed out. We'll continue that plan. Those who live or have to drive on some of these roads know this road needs to be improved, and we'll continue that. I would point out, we are, as far as the sewers go, we have, the council already engaged our engineers to start a study so we can start looking at where the sewers, where the priorities are, so we can get that work done. Certainly we'll get that moved. That's going to be a long-term project. That's going to take some serious dollars, and we'll have to look at that as we go forward. So we'll continue with the road work and get those roads fixed up, and in addition, we'll move on with the other projects that need to be done.
Is that better? Okay, Mr. Denman, I think you kind of segued nicely to my next question, so I'm going to start with you. You kind of talked about concerns or issues you had with the sewer system, and so my question is, do you feel their current city council has been deficient in its obligations and duty to its taxpayers? If so, what are the specific issues that you feel they've been deficient in, and what would you do to improve those concerns and issues?
I think they've been deficient in maintaining sewer problems on the riverside of the tracks. I would spend a little money trying to figure out, obviously it has to do with slope in some of these streets, because you have to have slope to get water to move. And I would start in that area myself.
Well, nobody's perfect. We do have some deficiencies that we need to work on, and that I think we're making quite an improvement on those. Yes, sewers and roads and other infrastructure. We need to improve our water system a little better too. It just takes time. We need to revamp our capital improvement plan once in a while and add in what we need. And in time we'll get there. Thank you.
Thank you. First off, as someone who just had to have a sewer line dug up and replaced outside his home, I can sympathize with the problems with the sewer system. I would also like to point out to everybody, it's not something you just start throwing money at. We have to do studies, we have to understand where the problems lie, we have to set priorities, because this is something that's going to take years to fix and a lot of dollars. So we want to make sure those dollars are spent the right way, at the right time, in the right places.
So by the fourth person here, it's going to be a repeat kind of, but I don't want to get get to that point. So we've discussed this in the last 4 years, obviously, but it does take a lot of dollars. Our city administrator has led us to the path of maybe some grants out there that we can get some additional funds from, different places. So we are wholeheartedly looking into that because we know we have issues on the old side of town. All the infrastructure under there, it sits by the river, so it's got issues with that as well. It wasn't built right back in the day. It's not built to the period today, obviously, because that's where we have the most issues at, but it takes millions and millions of dollars. So we are, and I want to continue on focusing on that because that is one of our biggest issues that we have right now.
Thank you. Okay, I think each of you heard me too ask the mayor some questions about referendums, and so there's certain, as I understand it, there's certain public projects that are kind of in the works in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year plan. Some of those are popular, some may not be very popular. Some of those are from grants, some of those are going to be from alternative funding. And so, if elected to city council, I guess what do you feel your role is with vis-a-vis those projects? And to what extent do you believe that referendums should be used to capture the feeling or the voice of the people regarding those projects?
All right, so with regards to the use of referendums and whether we should engage the people, of course we need to engage the people. What I'd like to see is like see people come to city council meetings and tell us what they think. We don't get that very often, and it's important for you to do that. You can call your council member, you can email your council member. We have all the phone numbers and emails on the city website, or you can stop. Come to the council meetings and tell us what's going on, what's bothering you. As far as some of the projects that are going on, we understand some of these projects may not be real popular. Let's talk about the roundabout. Some folks are pretty opposed to roundabouts. They don't want to hear about it, but it's a safety issue. We have an intersection which is dangerous. People get into collisions there pretty frequently. We engaged the state to do a safety study. The state came back and gave us recommendations. We got grant money. We have to spend very little of the city's money. We're going to get a roundabout. We're going to improve the safety of that intersection. So that's important to do. If we did a referendum, we'd probably end up with a 4-way stop or something there, and that's not going to work. So we have to do the right thing. I think that's what we got.
Thank you. Right.
So the referendums, we're held to a certain point under the state law. When we have to have a referendum, when we don't. But as Councilman Bowman said, it's been a little more challenged with the pandemic this year, and obviously we didn't have a lot of live council meetings, but we always had ways to get on and capture what the meeting was taking place, just like we did most last year. We all have emails, we all have phone numbers on the city website, so I mean there's always potential there for concerned citizens to get a hold of one of those 5 and at least show some of their concerns or express their concerns instead of, well, the council made this decision and now I'm not happy with it after the fact. And you wouldn't believe how much that happens. And it's just disappointing that we have all the tools out there for the public to be able to get with us, and it doesn't happen until after the fact. And the roundabout, again, I'm in favor of it. Being on the fire department, I've seen some of the catastrophes that happened out there. It's not been good. It comes down to a public safety issue, and why not do it? We're getting pretty much all the money for it. So it all depends on what we can do under the state law when it comes to referendum. Thank you.
Well, I for one am not a fan of roundabouts. I've been driving semi for 23 years. They are not semi-friendly, and there's a lot of semi-traffic on that road. The problem I have with a roundabout is the fact that you're supposed to yield to the oncoming car and nobody does. And I have a feeling there's going to be more accidents in a roundabout than just the regular way it is. I understand we have a bunch of grants and few fuel tax is gonna cover the remainder of it, but nothing anybody can do to change that now. So, thanks.
Well,
Yeah, like has been pointed out, not everything can be a referendum. What the biggest thing is, we need to hear from you. You need to contact us. Let us know what you think, what you want. And that, I see it's gotten a little bit of off task here on